Good morning, everyone. This is Leah Dixon here in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. And this morning I am going to be creating for you a card using the gnomes, the Gnome for the Holiday stamp set. And this stamp set is typically used as like a Christmassy one, but I'm actually going to be using it today for a Halloween card. So just a little bit of fun with our little gnomes, and gonna kind of treat them like they're little wizards or kind of spooky Halloween gnomes. So I am going to be using the Gnome for the Holiday stamp set, but I'm also going to be pairing it up with a stamp set that, oh, there we go, with the tags, because this set's kind of fun. It's got the little Christmassy, Valentine's, and then of course the Halloween pieces here. So I'm going to be doing that so that we've got some sentiments and a little jack-o'-lantern to add to our card. Alright, so my first job for this card is I'm actually going to grab the tags, and I had it on a block. Where did, oh, there it is. So I've got my tags, and before you use this the first time, you're going to want to kind of like either clean it or do a couple trial stamps with it just to make sure that we're getting nice clear images. Sometimes these have a little bit of a film on them, and so we want to make sure we get rid of that before we get started. And then I'm going to grab a piece of pumpkin pie cardstock here. So this pumpkin pie is cut, oh actually I don't even remember. It's 1 1/4 by 3 1/2. So yeah, 1 1/4 by 3 1/2 is the size of our piece of pumpkin pie cardstock here. And I'm going to use a Stampin' Right marker today to actually ink this up, because as you can see here, I've got the words inked. Morning, Janice. I know, I love the gnomes. This is my first attempt at using them for non-Christmassy things, though. So here we go with some Halloween stuff. So I'm going to use my pen and kind of the thicker, stubbier, and this one, because this is the black Stampin' Right marker, it doesn't come in one of the kits. It doesn't have the paintbrush end. It has like a fine writing end and a thicker writing end. So I'm going to use the thicker writing end to ink up just the words "sending a Halloween hello," and not get any of the beautiful border that's actually on this tag piece. These tags are really fun too, because you can literally stamp them in one color or more if you want, but stamp them in one color and they cut out and they leave the border and everything, and then they line up perfectly with the dies, so you don't even really have to do any kind of fiddling around. You stamp all 3 at once and cut all 3 out at once with the dies. And so they're in Halloween, Valentine's, and Christmas strips. Alright, so there we go. I've got that all inked with my black Stampin' Right marker. Good morning, Denise. And now I'm going to stamp this to the very far left side of my orange strip. Just make sure that makes a good impression. And of course it sticks. There we go. Alright, so it didn't get, that end didn't get exactly how I wanted it, but this is the joy of using these pens, is now I'm going to come in with that finer tip and I can fix up the ones that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted them. For me it was a bit challenging because I had already inked it, so it was getting a little bit harder to see where I did and didn't have ink. The first time you ink it, it's really easy to see because you can see where you've put black ink. Alright, there we go, all fixed up. So that's our sentiment, and so I'm done with my black Stampin' Right marker now. I'm just going to actually put that away so I don't lose it. There we go. Alright, and now I have a Stampin' sponge. You can see I just used little pieces of cardstock across the top so that I know which color's which. And I'm going to grab some black Memento, and I'm going to just sponge the edges of this piece. We're just going to do this, kind of make it all look a little grungy and dark, and try and take some of the cuteness away from our gnomes, because they're just really cute. Okay, so now we've got that all inked. I'm going to put this to the side. We're going to use that black ink in just a moment to actually stamp our gnome. But first things first, I actually have to clean him up because we're not going to ink the whole gnome. So we want to make sure that we don't have ink on all of his parts. So I'm going to use the one holding the ornament and with the striped hat for this card. But when I ink him up, I'm going to ink all of him, including his ornament, but we are not going to ink his mistletoe. So that's going to take just coming in here and looking at the edge of my ink pad and making sure that I don't go too far over as I'm inking his hat. Okay, and then for the rest of them, pretty easy. Okay, so there we go. So yeah, it's just a matter of kind of holding it sideways so you can see where you're applying ink. And make sure I get his beard. There we go. So this again, that was the black memento, and then I'm just going to stamp him on a scrap of paper here, and I want to stamp him kind of towards the right of it. There we go. All right, so you can see his hat doesn't have anything hanging off of it now, which is perfect. We don't want anything there. All right, so now for this guy, before we start coloring him, we're actually going to cut him out. So I'm just going to clear some space. I had all my blends out ready to color him, but I forgot we have to cut him out. So we're just going to make some room, and I'm going to bring over my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. All right. And the die we're going to use today is the largest circle from the stitched shape dies. So these come with ovals, circles, and squares. We're going to use the largest circle, but as you can see, we're not cutting out a full circle. We're just coming in here and cutting along the edges, just kind of perfectly framing him. There we go. And that's why I wanted to stamp him kind of close to the right-hand edge so that I didn't have to do any trimming. When I pull this out, it will just be that he's already lined up nicely in his circle with a nice flat edge. All right. Okay, so with that guy done, we can now start to color him. Bit of a messy surface already. And we're also going to sponge the edges of this, but let's do our coloring first. So we do have a wide selection of blends that I'm going to be using this morning. I have Highland Heather combo, Pumpkin Pie combo, Black combo, Ivory and Bronze combo, and then I'm only going to use one of the gray, but this is the Smoky Slate. All right, so let's actually start with that one. This is our Smoky Slate, and I'm going to use the paintbrush tip to color in his beard. And I'm not going to be too careful, like if I leave white bits and stuff, that's fine, because it's his beard, and it's all going to grow in just kind of how it grows in, a little white, a little gray. All right, so that's our Smoky Slate. Then I'm actually not using the bronze either. I'm just using the ivory here. You can use either end for this, just to color in his hands and his nose and that little bit of eye that we can see. And so that's that combo used. You could, of course, use like pencil crayons or stuff for doing this, but we're going to do this. All right, so now with our Highland Heather, I find that the lighter Highland Heather is very, very pink. So I'm actually going to do that first and just a quick little bit. Oh, darn it. All right. I was going to, that one will be black, so that'll be fine. So one up. All right. And then orange and black and purple. There we go. And let's do his toes as well. Just a quick little spot. It's rather pink though, so we're going to come in with quite a bit of the darker Highland Heather and cover that up. But I just find that having that light in there to begin with does allow those spots to stay a little bit lighter and give a little bit of dimension to our coloring. Okay. come in, darken that up. And so what I love about the blends is that it's not just straight up one color. You can actually make spots darker and lighter, depending on how much you color in a spot. You just want to be sure to not color too much, because these are alcohol based and they will bleed out into other areas. All right, now his little shirt that he's wearing, we're also going to do this in our Highland Heather. So I'm starting with the finer tip, and doing the areas that I really want to have dark. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my lighter, fill this in, and then I'm going to come back again with my dark, but with the wider tip this time. There we go. Alright, so there's his little outfit, all done up in purple, in the Highland Heather. And then let's fix up our mistakes here. So with this one, I'm going to take my felt pen end with my dark black and just do the top and the edge of these two. And then I'm going to finish it off with my lighter black. Now, I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but the lighter black is significantly lighter. And then if you wanted to lighten this up even a bit more, you could come in with a color lifter and take some of that color out as well, and it would make it more of a dark gray than a black. Here, I can actually do that and show you. So just come in and soften it a bit. Okay, and then we'll just color that off. So there, it's just a little bit softer now. And sorry, I forgot to do his toes. We're going to use the lighter black down here on his socks. There we go. And then our final color for our little gnome to color him in is our pumpkin pie. And just like I did with the black, I'm going to start by doing the darker color along the top and the side. And then I'll come in and finish off with the lighter. There we go. And if you do a little bit of coloring in that overlapped area, then it blends the two nicely together. We'll put in some orange down here on his socks. And voila. Now, we're not going to leave him carrying a Christmas ornament. That would be just a little bit weird. So what we're actually going to do is grab our tag stamp again, but we're going to clean it off first. This is my Simply Chamois. It is filthy, and yet it still cleans my stamps. So for this one, because it was the marker, the black marker, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get that off, and it's come right into the little cracks and stuff. So what I may end up doing with this one is taking it to my sink and washing it with soap, but I've got enough of that off that when I stamp that, it doesn't leave any impression. So that's kind of my main goal right now, because we're in the middle of crafting. I'm not too worried about getting the stamp completely clean, just clean enough that it won't leave an image behind. So, mission accomplished there. All right, I am going to grab just a scrap of paper, and I actually already have one here I could use, but I want to show you how I did this. So I grabbed my pumpkin pie ink, and I just inked up just the top here where I've got the boo with the two little jack-o'-lanterns, and I inked that with pumpkin pie. And then on my scrap paper, and I'm not even like concerned about the other image, I just came up here and stamped that. So you can see how it does the nice borders and everything. It's really a lovely stamp set. So now that I've got those guys there, oh, I'm not done with my black pen. I'm going to bring back my black Stampin' Write marker. This time I'm going to use the very fine tip. And I'm going to color in the eyes on my jack-o'-lantern. There we go. And color in this little mouth as well. need to get a little bit closer. Apparently, I need my glasses checked. There. All right. So that is our jack-o'-lantern. Oh, if I didn't have a little jack-o'-lantern, I could color the ornament. Oh, that would be super cute too. Yeah, you could totally just do a little face on there. That would be awesome. Yeah. I do have my little jack-o'-lantern though, so I love them. And so now that we've colored them in, we're going to fussy cut them. And it's actually kind of amazing how perfectly sized these little guys are. Sometimes I think Stampin' Up! Must actually think these things through and actually measure things, because it just fits so perfectly. It's a little bit scary. Yeah, you could also make it like a Halloween ornament if you're like, oh, I don't want to risk, drawing a face on there. You could totally just do it up in like purple and orange and add a little bit of glitter to it, or all sorts of things that you could do to make it a little Halloween decoration. But for me, I'm going to use this little jack-o'-lantern because I needed the Halloween sentiments from this stamp set as well. All right, so I'll get my scraps out of the way. There we go. All right, so with this done, we're going to pop that right on there, and it just covers it up so nicely. So I'm just going to put a mini glue dot on the back of that. So put that on there, peel the backing off, and then I'm going to pop this guy on here. There we go. All right, so now that that's done, we're going to put that to the side for a moment with our sentiment, and I'm going to bring back my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine because we're going to do a little bit of embossing with the cobwebs folder. Alright, so here's my machine again. So I have my base plate, my number 1 base plate, and then I have my folder, and I have plate 4, which is for when we're using thicker embossing folders. So this is our cobwebs embossing folder. I'm going to pop in a piece of Highland Heather cardstock. Don't even need to be very particular. I can look at it and decide where I'd like to have those cobwebs fall, but it doesn't really matter. All right, and so with those cobwebs in there, I'm going to lay down my folder, put down plate 4, and run that through. And there we go. We're done with that. So, and there's our cute little cobwebs. All right, so I'll put this stuff out of the way again, so we have some space to work. All right, so with our piece of cobweb here, and I'm going to bring back in my gnome. Oh, I forgot. We are going to actually do one more piece of embossing on our card base. And for this one, we're going to emboss just let's grab what we need here. So for this one, I'm using all my regular plates. We're embossing just the front of this card. So I'm actually going to pop the card in so that, here we go, so that where that fold is on my card edge, that fold is hidden. And then, I think I've got the right sandwich here. It's always just a matter of trying different sandwiches. So this, no, that's too thick. All right. So we're going to use our folder and just one regular plate. I think that's the right sandwich. No, that's too loose. Okay, so we do need our plate too. It's always a little bit of trial and error with this. there is a guide on each of the plates, but I always have trouble determining which kind of die or embossing folder I'm using, because we actually have 3 kinds of embossing folders. And so, no, again, that's too thick. All right, one more try here. Let's actually read what it says on here. It says, for embossing folders, oh, it was the 2 plates. Interesting. All right, good morning, Gwen. Well, that's what I thought it was. I thought I had the right combo when I just used the 2 plates and the base. Let's give that another shot. Maybe it's because I'm putting this through sideways instead of the normal direction. Yeah, you think the gray one on top, Janice? Okay, we'll give it a shot. I didn't think this was a thick one, but there we go. Oh yeah, there we go. Thanks, Janice. I always have trouble with these dies. A few of them I know, because like the ultra thick ones are obvious, but the rest, it takes me a while. All right, so there we just have a little bit of texture on there. That is the Tasteful Textiles. Oh, it's not just you, Gwen. Every time I use my dies, or not my dies, my embossing folders, I just struggle a little bit to figure out which one it is. All right, so I had some black ink, but I've misplaced it, so I'll grab another one. You learned from the shuffle, yeah. All right, so I've got my sponge here with my Memento Black again, and I'm going to just do a ton of sponging now on every piece I have. So I've already done my sentiments. I did that at the beginning, but now everything else is going to get a good little coating here around the edges, and this is even going to get just the softest, like seriously so super soft, kind of circular, but like almost trying not to touch it kind of coating here. That's just going to make our cobwebs stand out a bit more. And I wouldn't do this right after inking it up, you know, ink all the edges and then do this. Oh no, sorry guys, apparently I'm getting a phone call. All right, that was interesting. All right, that doesn't happen very often. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to keep sponging here. So yes, for those of you wondering, I am filming this on my phone. I have a stand that my phone sits in, and I'm going to do the edge here too. There we go. So you can do this a little bit lighter, a little bit darker, however you're kind of feeling. And then I'm also going to do just a very soft brush across the top of this. Just helps that textile pattern stand out just a little bit more. We want it to be subtle, but not too subtle. All right. Yeah. All right. So we've done a lot of sponging with our black ink, and now we are ready to just start putting this card together. So this was a basic gray background that we used the Tasteful Textiles on, and now I'm going to grab my Seal Plus. I'm using Seal Plus just because I've got a lot of embossing here, lots of texture to deal with, and there's also going to be a lot of layers on this card. You could use liquid glue, and you could even probably get away with using just regular seal. Just anytime I've got embossing going on, I want either glue or Seal Plus just for that extra hold. All right, there we go. So those two are glued together, and we're also going to glue these straight onto our card front. And this one's going to get centered on our card front. As centered as I can make it. This is not my forte. There we go. All right, So that's on there. And then again, straight onto our card front, no lifting or anything, is going to be this sentiment. But this one we're not going to center when we attach it. We are going to put it so that it's kind of sticking off to the side. And the reason for that is we need to make sure that we have enough space for this guy. Now, if when you go to put him on, he won't fit and he's going to cover up your words, you've got that leeway here to trim a little bit more. I just really don't enjoy trying to trim that kind of thing after the fact, which is why I did mine ahead of time. And again, I'm going to glue them down. I'm not going to use any dimensionals on this card, which is really unusual for me, but that's the way we're rolling today. All right. Oh, don't stick there. All right, and I am putting them right off the edge of the card. There you have it. All right, and then because this is going to be for a kid, we are going to grab, let's see if I can find them here in my big mess. We're going to grab some rhinestones to spruce this up, but we're not going to use just regular old rhinestones. We are going to use some from the holiday rhinestone pack, and we're going to use these fun orange ones. So there we go, and maybe throw one down here. All right, so yeah, just kind of spruce that up with our holiday rhinestones and use up some of those orange ones. So that is our gnome card today. So he's not just for Christmas. You can use him for other holidays. I'm going to try later today to see if I can create a little birthday something. Oh, I just realized I forgot the tip of his hat. Let's grab our orange here. We'll get the small tip because there we go. Oh, there we go. All right. So that is our Halloween gnome. Thanks, Janice. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and you can see how we can use our stamp sets for a really wide variety of occasions. So if you love the gnomes, challenge yourself. You can create a non-Christmas gnome card, and if you're on my team, post that into our InkPad Pals team page. I'd love to see what you guys create. All right, have a great day. Bye. Oh, I'm so glad your gnomes have shipped, Gwen. You're gonna love them. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.